Now, it's not enough just to think differently, because thoughts alone do not shift the world. They do not create your future. So this mind flexing builds out to a set of 8 future-ready skills. And you can see how each of them pushes out in a different direction. So progressive mind flex enables you to be more visionary and to be more strategic. Strategy means a plan of action to achieve major aims. So can you actually see what your aims are before you move to action? As I mentioned before, a leveraged mind flex enables you to be more inclusive, but also to be more digital. So in a meeting, to be able to actually, rather than ask people in the room, that's a bit of factual information, maybe I'll ask a device, right? Oh, maybe I'll actually use Teams or whatever network I'm using to connect out and do a live question. So these are strongly connected. Then expansive thinking is about creative thinking, which enables you to innovate, but not doing it alone, and collaborating. And collaboration is not a synonym for teamwork. If you think about in the times of war, a collaborator worked with the enemy. So collaboration is about working with people you normally wouldn't. And then an active mind flex is recognizing that, oh, we all have brilliant plans, but the world is incredibly complex. So when we start to make those plans real, we have to have the ability to adapt in order to have an impact. So for the second half, I'd really like to focus in now around this focus on looking at being visionary and looking forward. So we're about to do a bit of work. So I'm kind of starting to shift from this kind of speaking mode, a little bit of facilitation through the chat. I'm now going to personally coach you forward and through a way of working. Vision is really, really critical. Vision statements that are generic, we will be the world's #1 through happy staff, customers and shareholders, they're not important. But visions that inspire, that say we see a world where what will be happening is this, by doing this, gives people clarity. So it's about exploring the possibilities like any journey. Like have you ever been on a holiday where people want to go in different directions? It's not very successful until you go, right, this is where we're heading. Now, how do we get there? When exploring the concept of visioning, it's really important to touch on other concepts like purpose and mission, because what I find is all too often they get used interchangeably. Or people go, oh, those are kind of corporate concepts, they don't really matter. They absolutely do matter. You need to have vision to know where you're heading. You need to have a sense of purpose to have the drive to get there. And that's what purpose is. Why does this actually matter? And there's a subtle difference between purpose and mission. You don't necessarily need both statements, but you need one of them. So mission is what you're on to achieve that vision, driven by that sense of purpose. Just want to check, if you were driving in these kinds of conditions, now I don't mean when it's just raining a bit, I mean when all of a sudden the rains come out of nowhere and you know you shouldn't be driving. Think about a moment in time when you've experienced that. My key question for you is, in those kind of times, did you go faster or slower in these kinds of conditions? Cool. Hopefully by now you've all programmed a bot just to automatically respond to me if I ask a question. Now let's just do a little bit of mind flexing, because I agree with you. Slower, slow. Ah, Kenton, love it. I put my lights on and keep a bigger gap, but maybe I'm traveling at the same speed. Because I haven't given you a context. If you're in a race and this was the conditions, right? So the ability to be visionary and to mind flex like a futurist is the difference between driving in these kind of conditions where you've got a fixed mindset or driving in these kind of conditions. You can't clear the windscreen perfectly because no one can say this is exactly what the future holds, but you can go, they're slowing down, maybe we should increase that gap. Have you considered this road off to the side that we've never explored? So being visionary is about seeing these signals. So this was the equivalent of before. Did you notice the earbuds? And have we thought about our interface? Because we're really talking about developing an app, but actually, shouldn't it be a conversational interface that is interfacing into an existing voice dictation system that's then locked into an ordering system, changing the fundamental flow of the way things work? So we're going to do a bit of visioning. And At the beginning of the session, I said to you, just vision, there's a white circle. Now I'm going to coach you through 4 stages of visioning. I'd like you to think of a project you're currently working on, or an area of the organisation, or something that's important to you. It'll be useful to be able to share it in the chat. So it's something that you're sort of happy to put some thoughts around, because it's great to see what other people are doing. Now, the first step to visioning that a lot of people miss is you've got to focus on a specific goal. And we noticed this particularly last year. You try and work with someone to solve something and they go, yeah, but I've got this as well. And then, oh, there's that problem and there's that problem. No wonder they couldn't vision their way forward. Brilliant, thanks, Ian. So if other people could do the same sort of thing there, think of a goal and then just pop it into the chat. And on one level, you're doing it to be collaborative and share with other people. But to be honest, the most useful thing it's focusing your own mind. Because if you don't write it down, if you don't type it in, then it's easy to vary from it. Great, these are brilliant goals. So keep these goals in mind. Now we're going to do step number 2. And step number 2 involves choosing a point in time. Now, a lot of people kind of go, yeah, goals should be specific and measurable and time-bound, but then they don't. So when I'm asked to facilitate strategic planning, I often have to ask the team, how far forward are we planning for? And everyone looks at each other and goes, oh, I think it's 1, 2 years. I think it's 10 years. I think it's 5 years. So for this vision, could you pick a specific point in time? Just again, share that with yourself into the chat. So point in time. If I can see a couple of examples coming through, I'll give you a little bit of coaching around putting times in. Which probably wasn't a good comment to make, because now people might go, well, I'm not going to put something in the chat because I don't want to be told what to do with it. So Ian, I love this. The sooner the better. And we all do that. But can you see how impossible it is? Because are we talking in 1 minute's time? Because then my vision would involve drop out of this webinar and do whatever you're doing. And then you kind of go, oh, but I couldn't achieve it within that time. So the time sets to scale to things. So Ian, can I get you to put another note in there and put it in about when a particular point in time might be? Kenton, that's a great example, right? So other people might not be sure about when that is. Or does takeover involve the day they start or the process of handover? So the more specific you get with it, the better it is. Brilliant. Then the next stage, and this is one that I don't hear other people talk about. Select a physical location. Think about this. We are visioning. Vision means to see. Think of it like an artist if they're painting a landscape, because that is visioning that scene. They can't do their painting without saying, what is the perspective? What is the angle I'm seeing it from? So can I get you to pick a physical location that you are now visioning this? So if I take that example of a management structure, right, starts to go, oh, where am I physically looking at that from? Am I at it on a chart, on a bit of paper? Because that's kind of the obvious thing. But immediately that enables me to go, it doesn't feel very visionary or inspiring. So am I visioning it from inside a meeting room with that team? That then enables me to go, oh, but my thinking then is that all those people need to be physically located together, and maybe they're not. So then I might go, okay, I'm visioning myself sitting at my computer, looking at my Zoom screen. And then I might go, actually, no, that's not the structure I want. I want a structure where people are out with customers more. So now I'm actually visioning from a particular customer's location. So have a think and pop into the chat, just a physical location, because we're about to do the final step, step number 4. Ah, awesome, great. See, Joel's been hard at work. He's been pre-preparing all of his answers and he's gone through and done all of them, but it's brilliant. Friday's team day in Onehunga. Now, here's the thing about that. I've actually been to Onehunga before, and it's quite a large place. Am I visioning from pulling up? Am I visioning from being inside? Am I visioning if I'm inside from on stage or alongside the team? Or am I visioning a conversation afterwards? And see how all of a sudden I start to get inspired with, hang on, if I'm visioning a conversation, maybe in the car park afterwards with someone, what are we talking about what that sprint has been like, and what are they saying? Are they saying it was really different because, and now I have to imagine what was different?